Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. So, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the civil war that is taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. The reports that we are currently getting today out of the region would indicate that there has been some fairly significant activity that is occurring along the Sudanese and western Tigray border. It would appear that groups allied with the Tigrayan Defense Forces and/or possible elements of the regular Sudanese military or elements of the Tigrayan Defense Forces that are inside of the Sudan could have engaged forces of the Triple Alliance of the Ethiopian state, the remnants of the Ethiopian state, the Amhara regional militias, and the Eritrean army, which occupies a significant chunk of the western Tigray region. We're also hearing reports out that there is a possibility that the Amharan state, the Amharan regional government, could announce that it is officially annexing Western Tigray, and obviously that would be in conjunction with the federal government inside of Addis Ababa. So again, in terms of I define the former state of Ethiopia. Now, obviously, there is a federal government that resides in the city, and for all intents and purposes, if you live inside of Addis Ababa, your experience in terms of a cohesive state is much different from those, say, who are residing inside many parts of the Oromia region and many parts of the country as well. And obviously, the Tigray region is now fundamentally its own state, its own republic, its own independent entity. It is completely now separate from the what you would define as the Ethiopian state or the federal government. But very interesting events that are starting to occur in terms of the body politic inside of Ethiopia, in terms of the Amhara region and its perceived ownership of Western Tigray. And again, we're seeing fighting that is occurring in Western Tigray along the border. But we will continue to monitor that situation and report as events warrant. On the battlefield front, on the southern front, inside of the Amhara region, we continue to see the Tigrayan Defense Forces maneuver along the central front from Sokoto, pressing its way towards areas west, especially what would appear to be the Gondar and Bahir Dar main roadway. And again, we've received reports and continued reports that these deep penetration raiding units of the Tigrayan Defense Forces are continuing to migrate west and attack targets of opportunity, and what you would define also as the main frontal lines that separate the two forces also are continuing to be pushed forward by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. We continue to see fairly significant activity occurring in along both what would be defined as the Dese front, although it is a bit more quiet than what it has been, and obviously in recent weeks. In this area, we did see some fairly significant fighting, and fighting continues. The Tigrayan Defense Forces have more or less solidified its positions north of Salula and maintain very firm control over Weldia, areas south of Weldia, Kobo, and other areas as well. We continue to see a push in the vicinity of Gashina west and these areas continue to be under the firm control of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And again, back to what would be defined as the Central Front in environments west and southwest and due west of Sokotra. We continue to see a very significant push by elements of the Tigrayan Defense Forces, a continued push over this very rugged terrain, in which would be a push eventually to possibly completely sever and occupy the main road from Gondar to Bahir Dar. But right now, it would appear that the main target that the Tigrayan Defense Forces is looking at seizing, and obviously the forces that the Amhara regional paramilitary units are looking to defend, is Ibnat. This is a fairly significant town right now in terms of the fighting that is going on. It would appear that the main offensive push towards in terms of the Central Front is towards Ibnat, and then possibly a final push in which you could actually see the occupation and seizure of Adiziman. But not quite there yet, but we're continuing to monitor the situation, and that would also put forces both north of Debre Tabor, and we understand there is forces of the TDF operating south of Debre Tabor too. And again, please try and separate the normal, conventional front lines with these raiding units that are out and about causing havoc inside of the Amhara region as they go after various forces that are in the region. And again, it's really two key attributes to this war. One is now obviously conventional, where we continue to see the Tigrayan Defense Forces utilizing heavy weapons and a normal organizational structure of a conventional army. At the same time, we continue to see the TDF operate in an unconventional manner too, deep inside of the Amhara region. We continue to see the buildup of forces, both of the Ethiopian state and of the Amhara regional army. We've continued to hear reports of conflict occurring between all three sides, meaning the Eritrean forces that are inside the Amhara region, the Amhara Regional Army, which is now forming and or has formed, and the normal remnants of the federalized Ethiopian army as well. But that fighting continues, and we continue to see fairly significant buildups inside of the Tigray region. Obviously, the Tigray region is in a total war state, where I have talked about in the past, where existing industry, existing products and services are being repurposed for military use. We're seeing that obviously inside of Mekelle. We continue to see very widespread recruitment ongoing, and there is no shortage of volunteers to take up arms in defense of the Tigray region and prevent any sort of counter-invasion. We have also received reports that, and this is mainly coming out of Amharian media sources, that there has been reported fighting east of Mekelle, based on some of the reporting that has come out of the Amhara media. I would say take it as a grain of salt. There has been a variety of reports that have come out of Amharian media that are simply erroneous, and we've never been able to validate many of those claims that we have received from Amhara media, unfortunately. And it's not the fact that that information is not welcome. Any information about the ongoing conflict would be taken by Military and Foreign Affairs Network, reviewed, analyzed, and then we would determine whether it is truthful or untruthful. And unfortunately, much of the information that we have received from Amhara media is not truthful, and it's very difficult to take any information from those sources with any sort validity. But we will continue to monitor these reports that have occurred in terms of the reports of the fighting that may or may not be taking place east of Mekelle, and we will continue to watch that situation if in fact something does arise. But again, that is the status quo as we speak. Again, the conflict looks to be shaping up for a very long and arduous conflict for really both sides of the equation. We have heard from senior leadership within the Tigray region discussing its concerns, discussing some of the genocidal rhetoric that is coming out of even mainstream Ethiopian media sources that seem to be propagating continued warfare and violence towards a variety of ethnic groups. And I discussed one of those reports by a senior figure who is very close to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed. And again, you can go back and look at that video if you wish, but that absolutely occurred, and you can see that is the train of thought right now that is coming out of the Prosperity Party and supporters of the Abiy Ahmed administration. So obviously very concerning for the leadership inside of the Tigray region, and obviously for the Tigray people as a whole when you hear that sort of rhetoric. And obviously those words are indicative of current results in terms of the Anaconda strategy that is being utilized against the Tigray region, in terms of the utilization of food as a weapon of really mass destruction against an entire region of Ethiopia. And it's really, I would say at this point, and I would say even reasonable governmental agencies in the West have concluded that there are probably most likely crimes against humanity being perpetrated against the Tigrayan people by the former government of Ethiopia, and what it currently exists in that manner in terms of this triple alliance of a external actor in Eritrea, the city state inside of Addis Ababa, and then obviously the Amhara region itself, which is really conducting the tempo of the conflict and the strategy of the conflict in terms of the current and ongoing Anaconda strategy. But we will continue to monitor the situation and report. We may have another video later on in the day, so stay tuned. Have a great day, everybody.